Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Olivia Rios, Operations Director of Operations and Programs here at the Los Angeles Latino Chamber of Commerce. Today, we have some great information for you, especially if you're in the area of construction, design, you're a homeowner, real estate developer. This webinar will help you learn about the new construction rules as well as the existing multifamily dwellings. So multifamily is defined as an apartment, condo, townhome, anything that is larger than a duplex. And SCE defines multifamily as any structure that is designed for two or more tenants which share parking. As always, I'm grateful to be here with you this morning and our great panel of speakers. I would like to start by thanking Southern California Edison for sponsoring and being a partner to help us provide technical training to our Latino community. The panel of experts we have here today support multifamily stakeholders through incentives and power service requests. Before we start, we ask that you mute yourself, ask any questions in the chat box as they're being presented, and we will answer them at the end. So we will have a Q&A session at the end so everyone can answer your questions. And once again, the session is being recorded. And our moderators for today are our chairman, Daryl Salceda, who has over 29 years of experience in the construction industry, and Ruby Rose Yepes, new construction senior advisor at Southern California Edison. And now I'll turn the webinar over to our moderators. Welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you making time to join this so important webinar with regards to multifamily. So my name is Daryl Salceda. What's happening, Olivia? Was the back feed?
No, just turn off your cell phone.
I have to turn on my cell phone. I'm not on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, but I will turn it off if I have to.
No, everything's good right now.
I didn't understand that.
No, she didn't understand that. Okay. So anyways, my name is Daryl Salceda. The name of my company is Associated Construction Services Group. We've been around since 1993. But I've been in the multifamily space since the early 90s. I've done up to 100 units in the senior housing space. I have also done multiple brownfield where we do build up tract housing in new construction. Now, this is before the new ordinances of all electric have come into play. So we are a design build contractor as well. We do a lot of work in the construction business. So that in a nutshell, then I'm also chairman of the board of the LA Latino Chamber of Commerce. And for you, those of you that aren't members, I want to let you know that we have a very robust procurement team that's always looking for good contractors to join our membership. At this time, I would like to introduce Ruby Rose Yepes, and she will take it from here.
Thank you, Daryl, and good morning, everyone. As Olivia said, I am a senior advisor within Southern California Edison, supporting all of our new construction customers. And I am really excited to be here with you this morning to talk about multifamily. If you are working in the space that supports these types of structures, there will be some updates within the energy code that's going to be rolling out January 1st. Of which multifamily is going to have its own new chapter, which hasn't existed before. So we did a workshop on that earlier, but if you do want any more information on that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can provide some more resources on that if needed. But today, what we will be covering, here's our agenda. So we have a couple of different topics. We have Joe Tapia with our one of our district offices in Monrovia, who's going to be talking about all of the requirements and processes within our system planning and service requests. Then we're going to have another one of my peers from Edison, Naveed Ahmad, to speak about our Charge Ready program, which is for EV charging stations. We do have a program right now specifically that's going to be for new multifamily projects. And then we have two additional industry peers. One is Melinda Denin with TRC, who's going to speak about a build and the California Energy Smart Home program, which is an incentive program for new construction. And Tina is going to be speaking with Wildan is going to be speaking about the California Energy Design Assistance Program, which is for existing multifamily. And then we will wrap it up. So we have quite a bit of topics. So we're going to get through it, and hopefully we do have time to come back to questions. As Olivia did mention, this is going to be recorded to be able to share for those who were unable to attend and have interest in this topic. But also as part of it, while our presenters are presenting, we ask that if you do have any questions specific to a topic that they're covering, if you can just drop your questions into the chat and or raise your hand, and we will answer your question once the presentation is done. And then next, within Edison, safety is one of our values and something that's very important for us within the company and our external stakeholders and contractors. So just wanted to quickly go over a few things. It is for the holidays. And if you're like me, you go crazy decorating your home inside and outside. So just a few things to remember. If you are going to be utilizing any candles, please keep them within a 12-inch radius from anything that can catch fire, including curtains, your tree, or any other type of material you may have that's going to help with decorations. And then also, if you are going to be getting a Christmas tree, a real one like me too, because you love the smell of pine, just make sure that you are keeping it watered and hydrated. You are keeping it as far away also from anything that can catch fire, such as like electric heaters. You don't want them to be too close. And then that also not putting over lighting strands on it, because that can also impact your power. And we don't want you losing power during the holidays. So just a couple of things for the holidays to be aware of as we celebrate the season. And now I will pass it on over to Joe, who's going to talk about our service planning.
Thank you, Rosie. Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Mike's good? Okay, cool. So I am Joe Tapia. I'm a planning specialist with the Monrovia District. My service area is the city of Arcadia, and I'm here to talk to you about some of our planning processes. So let me see here. So Edison performs an annual evaluation and addresses power changes needed throughout its service territory. We do this annually. We review our infrastructure and maintain it as needed. Of course, a lot of that infrastructure changes can be prompted by customer development. And so it's a little bit what we're here to talk about today. Moving on. So some of our current challenges in the industry is the increase that we're seeing, the demand that customers are needing to meet their electrical capacity. So new development, remodeling, new commercial development is what we're seeing, especially out here in the Southern California area. Grid upgrades are sometimes needed to create capacity sufficient to accommodate power service needs. So this is going to be in regards to customer-driven work and, like I mentioned, new development and things like that. Edison is a public utility regulated by the California Public Utility Commissions. So we are responsible for the expenditure of customer funds. This reflects in how we regulate utility and how we need to measure the infrastructure that we install depending on customer needs and customer demand. As noted at the bottom, demand of the magnitude of the load requested, SCE may need to evaluate the distribution and transmission system as a whole to satisfy or safely and reliably energize new customer load. So when to contact SCE regarding power needs. So as a service planner, the answer to this question is right away. As soon as you have a project and you need some direction or support from Edison, I advise that you reach out as soon as possible because it might not be as simple as it can be complicated, and these complicated projects will require us to update our grid, and that can be a time-consuming process. So to answer this question briefly, it's just going to be as soon as you have approved plans, scope of work, and you need some insight or support from Edison, reach out as soon as possible. So moving on, local planning process overview. So any job, big or small, starts with a service request, and initiating a service request is the customer's responsibility. It is something that's very easily done via either our website or by calling into our 800 number. Once this service request is initiated, that is then assigned to a district, and that district then in turn assigns it to the local service planner, at which point that planner is going to reach out to you, the customer, and discuss your project. Depending on the scope of work, like I mentioned earlier, this can be a large project, it could be a small project, it could be something that we can facilitate in a short period of time, or it might require us to update our grid to help support your new project. So let me see here. So once a service planner makes contact with you, review scope, if a design is required, we will work with you in creating a design that fits your needs and help support your project while meeting our construction and safety standards. Once this design is completed and submitted, that design time frame can take anywhere between 10 to 14 weeks. It really depends on the workload of the service planner and that area and scope of work. Once that submittal is completed, it'll be returned to the customer, and in which other documentation is going to be required to move forward with the project for the construction process. So environmental review may be needed, city permits may be needed, building items are going to be discussed and addressed, whether there's contracts needed, that'll be reviewed. And once all that is completed, then we can move forward to our construction phase. Construction phase, depending on the workload of operations, it can be 4 to 6 weeks. It's always dependent on any emergent work that we have. Emergent work always takes priority, especially out here in the Monrovia district. We are in a high fire area, so emergent work always takes priority, unfortunately, for some customers that are in a, it may impact them in a negative way, but this is kind of, how we operate here. So next slide is going to be basically everything I kind of mentioned, is more detailed step by step. And so again, step one is going to be the customer reaching out to us, informing us of their project, submitting a service request, providing documentation about their project, and discussing with the planner. Step two is going to be the planner taking that information and moving forward, creating a design that supports their project, and having that design finalized and approved. Step three, once it's approved, that design goes to the customer, and customer requirements are needed at that point. So customer requirements are going to be like invoices, contracts. If there's any kind of civil underground work that's required, that'll be addressed. Setting up new service accounts, whether it's be for single family, multifamily, that'll be addressed. And last step before we schedule work for construction is going to be permits, environmental review, approvals. If we need outages, any kind of construction scope that needs to be taken into consideration, those things are looked at that point. And of course, step five is all that hard work wrapped into one big bow, and that's going to be the construction. Our crew goes out there and makes all that plan into a reality. They do a really great job. It's a really hard and dangerous work that they do, but they're really good at it. And it's really satisfying to see something, as a service planner, to see something start from just a concept, to see it all the way through to construction, and to be able to help customers through that through that journey is always satisfying. So next slide. Benefits of building all electric homes. So this is pretty new, you know. As a service planner, I'm just starting to see a little bit of this. Everybody wants to go solar. Everybody wants to save money, as we all do, right? Going solar with, going electric with your vehicles. Gas is increasingly expensive, and the impact it has on the environment is of a large concern. So there are a lot of benefits of going electric and reducing our dependence on other utilities such as gas, or like natural gas, or gasoline generated the way they do it. So here are, I've noted some links at the bottom, and these are links that are going to take you and give you a ton of information on the benefits of going electric, how you can learn more, how you can find what benefits will apply to your project and how they can help support you, how they can help save you money, and things of that nature. Some of the key topics here, are things I pointed out on the slide, are additional value such as a heat pump, heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems, induction cooking, and adding solar can help homeowners save on their energy bill. So when your architect or is designing your home or your project or your development, these are things that they can take into consideration, and we have information to provide that can help them in their specific project. So multifamily property resources. So Edison offers solutions for multifamily properties, which include a variety of programs, services, tools, and technologies. Again, here's some great information, some good links. We have a couple programs that I wanted to point out here. So our ESA program is our Energy Savings Assistance Program. It's geared for property owners to help their tenants become qualified for any energy efficient assistance. So it encompasses replacing, if they become, if they're qualified through the application process, it can be an ability for them to remove old appliances that are not very efficient, and to replace them with obviously something modern, new energy efficient models. We have a Go Green multifamily financing program. Of course, that's going to help with the financing portion of this. If they are financially impacted and they need assistance, we have a program where if they qualify, they can help them out with that. And so our SOMAH program is a solar on multifamily affordable housing, and qualify to receive incentives for solar installations that will provide energy credits to lower electricity bills for your common area and your tenants, as well as providing opportunities for jobs and training for your tenants. So Edison offers a lot of great programs. They are all very specific, and I don't think they apply to everybody. So it really depends on your scope of work, what kind of project you have, what your goals are. And these links can really put you in an area where you can kind of navigate through Edison's website and find something that's going to be beneficial for you. And in regards to planning, that's about it. And definitely at the end of this slide, at the end of the webinar, let me know if you have any questions. I could be assistance. Like I said, I'm with the Monrovia district, and my services area is Arcadia, and I'm always willing to help. And so give me a shout if you have any questions, whether it's in Arcadia or not.
Thank you, Joe. Does anybody have any questions about our service planning or requests specific to multifamily?
I don't see any chats, any questions on the chat, so I guess we could continue. But I did make mention that we would send links after the webinar. Oh, here we go. Rudy Gutierrez. We could get to that question afterwards. Continue, Ruby.
Okay. Well, we can I can address that one.
Okay.
So Rudy, I actually have a question for you with regards to that. Would roof replacement or the energy efficient roofing system, is that like a one-off type of retrofit that you would be doing, or would it be part of like a collective effort and upgrade to the building?
Thank you for the question. So that would be on a apartment type complex for the entire roof, retrofitting the entire roof. Is there any type of assistance to the owner?
Got it. So I don't know if we actually have anything specific to like replacing roofs right now. What our big focus is utilizing technology for space heating and water heating that would be more energy efficient and high performing than what the typical systems that are installed right now. But there may be other programs like through LightWhip that can actually offer some type of incentive there. But we are going to be touching on existing programs, which Tina's going to talk about, the California Energy Design Assistance Program. So there may be something under that. So let's come back to that question when Tina's doing her presentation. All right, anybody else? All right, so now we're gonna jump into this, my peer lead, and we're gonna talk about Charge Ready.
Thanks, Ruby. Good morning, everyone. And I also want to thank the Chamber for the opportunity to be here today. So my name's Naveed, as it says on the slide. I'm a senior advisor on our e-mobility business development and partnerships team. But really simply, you know, if you're thinking, hey, EV charging is something that sounds interesting, seems like it's important, but like, how do I pick a station, get it installed, so on and so forth. That's really why I'm here today, to help you with that process and also share a rebate that can help offset those costs. So next slide, please. So there's a lot going on this slide. So Southern California Edison, we've been thinking about electric vehicles, transportation electrification for a while, but we've formally had programs going all the way back to 2014. And, you know, from today moving on over the next 5 years, as you can see, all these programs are designed to lead to 550,000 plus vehicles getting electrified, as well as getting more than 50,000 EV charging ports in Southern California. You know, that total, with investments totaling approximately $2 billion. The other thing that I'd like to share is that we've specifically allocated 50% of all that money to be for underserved communities as defined by the Cal Enviro screen. So that is something we're all committed on our EV charging installation team to doing. So today, as you can see from that little box at the bottom, I'm zeroing in on a $54 million carve out that's specifically designed for multifamily new construction. And what I'll note is that, you know, this program that I'm talking about today, these funds are available right now. So I'm speaking with multifamily developers every day who are interested in this and are getting this funding reserved for those projects. So I'll share a little form you can fill out at the end, but if you do see a fit, please do reach out to me directly at the end of this presentation and I can help walk you through that process. You know, there's a lot of programs, rebates, information out there. And what I like to tell people is see me as a resource for EV charging installation. With Southern California Edison, you can see me as the person who can help you with that one-on-one. Next slide, please. So let's kind of really get into the details of what this new construction rebate is. So the new construction rebate, or NCR, is a rebate that SCE will pay to you after you install EV charging on your multifamily development or even your built multifamily property if you have a certificate of occupancy January 1st, 2017 or after. It's designed to help you take advantage of mandated California Cal Green or Title 24 code. So let's take NCR out of the conversation for a second If you're building a multifamily property right now, you're required to have 10% of your parking spaces be EV capable, which means is that, you know, without any support, you have to pay for the necessary electric infrastructure on 10% of those parking spaces, so that when you set up electricity service, your building can accommodate charging on 10% of those spaces. But from a compliance perspective, you don't need to install a single EV charger to be in compliance with that code. You know, once your property is built, tenants start moving in, you don't have to have a single EV charger installed when it comes to Cal Green code. So bringing NCR back in now, what we're trying to do is to incentivize you as a builder to go ahead and install EV charging during development, so that when your tenants start moving in, they'll have that amenity of an EV charger installed and ready to go. One of the questions that folks ask me quickly after that is, Naveed, how much is it going to cost me? So based on data SCE has collected from a big bucket of vendor partners, the median price of a level 2 charger, and this is something I encourage everyone to remember, the median price of a level 2 charger is $2,900. So this deal with NCR is $3,500 per port installed. It's designed to cover not only the cost of the charging unit, but also any sort of service or installation costs that would come with installing it. I also want to note that it's 2 to 8 times more expensive to go back and install EV charging after a property is built. That's when you're going to have to rip up concrete, pay for all that conduit. So if you have a multifamily property that's in development and you know that you want to install EV charging, this is the offering to take advantage of right now. Even if your multifamily property is already built, as long as you have a certificate of occupancy January 1st, 2017, so 5 years ago, you can still take advantage of this deal, which is $3,500 per port. Next slide, please. So Ruby, my colleague, alluded to this, but you know, one of the main reasons why we want customers such as yourself who are building multifamily to take advantage of this right now is also to future-proof you from more strict California legislation. So as Ruby alluded to, effective January 1st, 2023, so in just about a month, if you're building a new multifamily project with 20 or more units, now that Title 24 Cal Green code is going to get more strict. So instead of only 10% of your parking spaces required to be EV capable, now it's increasing to 15%, as well as 5% of your parking spaces requiring installation. So apples to apples, this update is actually going to reduce the amount of money that you can get from SCE through this NCR rebate. So let's take the example on the screen. So if you have a multifamily development that is going to plan check this year and you plan to have 69 parking spaces, that means 6 spaces would need to be EV capable. If you were applying for NCR this year with the intention to install 6 level 2 charging stations, assuming you meet all our requirements, you would get $3,500 times 6 after installation. That's a total of $21,000. The other thing I'll note is once you apply and get approved, we reserve funding for you for up to 3 years. So I'll repeat that. We're going to reserve, and you know, it can be as little as 1 port or 150. I've seen both, but once you sign our terms and conditions, we reserve that money for you. It's there for you, and it will be paid out after you install the station. So once again, if you feel like there's a fit, please make sure to reach out to me after this presentation. So, you know, in this same example, this time next year, now you have to install 3 level 2 chargers. So if you are only going to install 6 level 2 chargers after installation, now you're only going to get 3 times 3,500 for a total of 10,500 from SCE. So to be clear with our program, we at SCE are rewarding those developers who are thinking of the future and going above and beyond Cal Green code. So hopefully this example kind of illustrates that. If there's any questions, happy to talk through it during the Q&A section. So next slide, please. So just to recap one more time, effective January 1st, 2023, so just in about a month, Cal Green Code is going to get more strict for multifamily developments. So as it relates to the new construction rebate, you would not get as much money from SCE for EV charging installation next year as compared to this year if you apply for NCR. So if you're a multifamily development, if you've gone to plan check, if you're built in 2017, we recommend applying for NCR as soon as possible if you want to have EV charging on your property. Once your application is approved with us, and I'm kind of your day-to-day one-on-one resource to help cross the T's and dot the I's, we're going to reserve that funding for you for up to 3 years. That gives you 3 years to purchase and install the EV chargers, to ask questions to make sure it's the right fit. And, all this being said, I do want to caveat that, every property has unique circumstances. Different cities have different requirements. So while directionally, I'm pointing out these Cal Green Code updates for you, please always make sure to verify with the Title 24 expert for your particular session. Next slide, please. So, always like to give people tangible next steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in a form that you can fill out. What this will let you do is reach out to me directly. So give me 1 second. Let's see. And I think Olivia may be able to send this out afterwards. But, even if you don't necessarily have a direct fit right now, please fill out the survey. That will allow me to reach out to you directly. You can see me as a resource for any questions you may have or any future projects. But that is really the best way for me to work with you and ultimately help you take advantage of this funding. Next slide, please. So to wrap up, once again, my name's Naveed. I work on EV charging installation for Southern California Edison. Please see me as a resource. You're welcome to reach out to me anytime. I'll drop my email in the chat as well. But thank you again to the Chamber and to Ruby for having me here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Naveed. We're going to jump into the next topic, but does anybody have any questions on this specifically? Okay. All right. Next, we have Melinda from TRC. She is going to be covering 2 programs. The first one is Build, which is right now essentially focused as an incentive program for low affordable housing projects. And then the second one is going to be the California Energy Smart Home, which is open to all new projects. And I think there might actually be a pathway for some retrofits, but she will confirm that. I thought so. Okay. All right, Melinda, floor is yours.
All right. Well, good morning and thank you again. I'm Melinda Dinnan. I'm with TRC, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Build program. Thank you. So Build stands for the Building Initiative for Low Emission Development Program. So next slide, I can share some more about this. So Build is a residential building decarbonization program that provides both incentives and technical assistance for low-income developers and building owners. The intention of the program is to support the adoption of advanced building design and all electric technologies. So it's electrification. That's where we're headed. Super. Thank you for moving the slides for me. So all low-income developers are welcome and can receive up to $2 million in incentives. Did you hear that? I'll say it again. $2 million in incentives for their all-electric projects to reduce the cost of construction. So applicants are also available for 300 hours of technical assistance to help alleviate the design and construction barriers, to offer some assistance to complete the application for incentives. So if a low-income developer hasn't yet built an all-electric project, we've got an additional $100,000 available, and it's for a new adopter design award. So that's any multifamily builder who's building a low-income property and they've not done all electric before. That's an extra $100,000 to just like jump in with both feet. So eligible applicants need to have 5 years of development experience. So that means that they've been doing this a while and they have to have completed one low income project here in California to meet the eligibility requirements. So the location for these incentives is they have to have no hookups in the gas grid, but be located in one of the 4 gas IOU territories. And that includes Southern California Gas, Pacific Gas and Electric, San Diego Gas and Electric, or Southwest Gas. So it's in those utility territories, but no gas on property. So there's also additional incentives for when the building has photovoltaic or solar added. And let's go to the next slide. Okay, so there's 4 components of the build program. So there's a base incentive, which we talk about, and that is focusing on the avoided greenhouse gas emissions. There's the building efficiency incentive that takes the percentage above code for Title 24. There's a kicker incentive that's additional greenhouse gas reduction technologies and incremental solar incentives. And that is for a flat rate of photovoltaic above current code to meet the utility cost savings. So the estimated or the average greenhouse gas incentive per multifamily unit, this is per unit, is approximately $3,300. And again, with a $2 million cap per applicant. Okay, so to apply for 300 hours of technical assistance, I'm going to encourage you to visit the Build website. I just put the link in the chat, and next I'm going to share some additional information on Build. And I'm hopeful if there are questions on this, I can answer them. Otherwise, we can move to the
Melinda,
next slide.
before we jump into the California Energy Smart Home program, could you just provide some insight on what exactly is included as part of the technical assistance?
Sure, absolutely. So a lot of builders and architects have worked, they've built this multifamily projects before. And this is for some assistance on how to incorporate an all-electric design. So oftentimes we've got high-rise buildings that are using gas boilers for domestic hot water. So we have the technical assistance to support and show how heat pump technology can support the domestic hot water in that building. So it's to support the additional steps that your development team will need to take to move to all electric new construction. So it's new for a lot of folks. Some folks have done it. There's also that extra money for first timers to going all electric. We've just seen a lot of folks just like, well, it's always worked. All our buildings have a gas boiler. We're going to do it again. We'd like to give you the technical assistance so you try something new. Try all electric. There's a lot of health and financial incentives that go along with that. So up to 300 hours is great to help redesign your mechanical, engineering, and plumbing systems.
Thank you for that, Melinda. I would also say to that point, prior to working at Edison, I did a lot of affordable multifamily housing support on the consulting side as a sustainability consultant. And a lot of the units were starting to go all electric. And the only reason they were running gas was because of dryers, commercial dryers, and then also water heating. But now there are technologies that can help support those type of systems that are very efficient and effective for these types of buildings. So even more of a reason of considering going that pathway, because there is savings and not running the gas lines, if that's what you're
Yes.
interested in. And then also, I know you're going to jump into the California Energy Smart Home Program as well, but I think you talked about this, how it could layer. So technically the funding, because it's from these programs are from two different buckets of money, you could actually get incentives from the build program and also get incentives from the California Energy Smart Home Program that she's going to jump into. So
I'm really glad you talked about that. Build is funded by cap and trade dollars, and that is money from all the different polluters here in California. That includes the utilities, it includes technology manufacturers, it includes, computer folks making chips. So everybody's having to pay cap and trade dollars who's putting pollutants into the environment. Energy Smart Homes, which I'm going to talk about now, is funded by the CPUC. So it's two different funding sources so they can layer. We can stack these incentives right on top of each other. So this is our Energy Smart Homes is for multifamily low rise. And I'll tell you, low rise is up to 3 stories. Tina with Wildan is going to talk after me about the CETA program, which is for those projects that are 4 stories and higher. So thank you. Next slide. Okay, so California Energy Smart Homes, we talked about this briefly. It is promoting advanced energy efficiency technologies and electrification. So electricity uses a lot less impact on the environment. So we're moving forward to electrify everything. So this program is TRC, which is where I work. We are the program implementers. PG&E is the program administrator on behalf of the California IOUs, and that includes Southern California Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric, and Pacific Gas and Electric. And then again, the funding is from the CPUC. So I just touched on this, so we can just zip through, but you can see the map of where this program is eligible. It's a statewide program for multifamily low rise. So our new construction program, these are the prerequisites: communicating thermostats, segregated circuits, and what I'll step back a minute. Communicating thermostat are those smart thermostats that you can control with your phone. And so you are able to really maximize time of day rates and do it remotely when you're not in your home. Segregated circuits put your high consumption utilities, not utilities, but efficiencies in the home, such as refrigerators, on a different circuit than your plug loads. It just keeps everything separated. So then if there are ever in the future similar issues where we had, high energy load on the grid, where we were able to, cut back our usage, but they'll never cut back on those things like refrigerators. They would never want your food to spoil. So if it's on a separate circuit, not a problem. We just learned about the electric vehicle charging infrastructure pre-wiring. There's incentives for that through the team at Southern California Edison. That is a prerequisite for this program, as well as thermostatic mixing valves, and that has to do with the hot water. So the Title 24, which is the energy model, needs to be completed and submitted by a licensed residential certified energy analyst, a CEA, not your architect. So this is just making sure that the best and the most qualified are putting together the energy model. You cannot receive incentives for the same measures or scope of work from other programs, and obviously adhere to local laws. This is for new construction. These are the incentives per unit for new construction. So yep, there we go. I was just going to point out briefly that they are de-escalating. So over time, the amount of incentives available decrease. So the sooner you get that project built and have that certificate of occupancy, we can provide these incentives. And then the next slide. And then this is for alterations. So we are able to do whole building electrification alterations. So any existing multifamily property with up to 3 stories, making the jump to remove all gas from the building, and we can do this building by building, has great incentives, which I'm going to show you on the next slide. So again, this is per unit. So 100-unit building, that's $3,500 per unit. That's a pretty fantastic incentive. So if you have to also upgrade the infrastructure panel to support the electrification, it's an additional $600 per unit. If you put in a heat pump clothes dryer, that's an additional $400 per unit. And then we have a central heat pump water heater. Bonus also of $1,500 per unit served. So this gets really great. That's a lot of money. I have 2 targeted measures for anyone who wants to try to, look at the opportunity for a central heat pump water heater system. So we have a design incentive, and this does not mean you need to install it. We've got $20,000 for any builder developer who's ready to design a central heat pump water heating system and share with us the stamped design and documentation that includes all costs. You do not need to install it, but if you're willing to give it a look, we'll pay for the design. And anyone installing these once it's been designed is $1,500 per unit served. So there's some great opportunity for incentives that can be layered with the build program. And that's what we've got.
Great. Thank you, Melinda.
Yeah.
Due to time constraints, I'm going to jump right into Tina's presentation. As Melinda mentioned, she will be covering multifamily that is what we call high rise or medium rise, 4 stories and higher. So Tina, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Ruby Rose. Appreciate it. Thank you to the Chamber also for inviting us to be here today. Wanted to just kind of start with telling you a little bit about CETA. See if we can get the presentation up here.
Yeah, sorry. Give me one second.
Okay.
I need to
No
bring
worries.
up the, sorry about that.
No problem.
Quick second. Here we go.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ruby Rose. All right, so we're going to be talking today about CETA, the California Energy Design Assistance Program. And you'll hear me talking about, there's quite a few similarities with Melinda's program, but we, as she mentioned, take over with the 4 stories and above. So if you can go ahead and go to the next slide for me, please. All right, so what is CETA? Again, it's the California Energy Design Assistance Program. And what we do is we provide a complementary whole building energy analysis of different energy efficiency measures. So things like lighting, HVAC, and building envelope. And we look at potential energy savings, the potential incentives, and carbon reductions so that a developer or owner can make a smart decision in terms of their project. The CETA program actually works with new construction as well as major alteration projects. So I'll go into that a little bit more as we move ahead. But just so you know, CETA serves the commercial, public, and high-rise multifamily, which again, Melinda mentioned is that 4 stories and above. That is above ground. We also serve industrial and agricultural projects, also within the 4 investor-owned utility service territories, PG&E, Southern California Edison, SoCal Gas, and San Diego Gas and Electric service territories. And the objectives of CETA, we are really also very involved with trying to help California realize clean energy goals, a very big push in terms of electrification and decarbonization for the state. And CETA is going to be a big part of that. So what do you receive when you participate in CETA? So you'll see 4 bullet points here. I really think these are in order of importance. The first is you would receive complimentary custom energy modeling for your project. So completely free, no cost to you. And what we do with that is we help identify, again, energy savings opportunities. And we would collaborate with your team. So if you have an engineer, architecture firm, we would collaborate. So we're not trying to take the place of any of your team. We will also provide an analysis, again, of energy cost and paybacks. And then again, the other incentive here is the financial piece. So we do issue a one-time incentive check to the owner on qualified projects. Next slide, please. So eligibility. Again, new construction projects are exactly that, ground up new construction, and also major alterations. A major alteration for us is considered a full gut renovation. So not just a lighting retrofit or changing out windows or adding tile or carpet or things like that. It has to really be a full gut renovation. And in addition to that, I'm going to show you a slide. There has to be one other item that is also ticked off. The box has to be checked off as well. So I'll show you that in a moment. The key for us with CETA is really being involved in as early in the design phase as possible. And the reason for that is we have to be able to show what's called influence to the CPUC. We have to be able to show that if it were not for the CETA program, that perhaps those energy efficiency measures may not have been used in the construction of the building. So again, the only way that we're able to do that is if we're involved very early on. And if I can leave you with one thing in that, in regards to that, we can never be too soon to get enrolled into a project for CETA, but we can be too late. And I'm going to show you a timetable chart in a couple of slides up ahead. So major alteration, as I mentioned, is there's 4 bullet points here. You actually only have to meet one of these. The last bullet point really refers to industrial and agricultural type of projects. So we're really looking at the first 3. So in addition to being a full gut renovation, you also have to meet one of these requirements. It either has to be a change in the space function. So say it's going from an office building to multifamily, something like that. A substantial change in design occupancy, square foot per person greater than 30%, or an increase in 10%, greater than 10% in conditioned floor area. So again, kind of changing the use, adding space, things like that. Next slide, please. And the timing. So this is our traditional, at the top, traditional design bid build process. And you'll see in the green area here that we are good to go up in design all the way till you get to construction documents. If you get into the CDs stage of the project, our window is closing there. Unless you're willing to still consider changes, you're not obligated to select any changes that we would suggest for you, but you have to be open to it. Then we can certainly enroll the project. The bottom chart really refers to the fast track or design bid build process. And you'll see we're good to go green a little bit further in, but once we get up to the detailed design, equipment starts getting purchased, and of course it's being occupied, we're really too late. So again, that's kind of a timing chart. And then we have 2 paths to CETA. I'll go ahead and just kind of run through these quickly. We offer a mixed fuel, which is gas and electric. So if you have a mixed fuel project, and then we also offer an innovative all electric. The all electric, the main thing to note on this is, as Melinda mentioned in her slide presentation, you cannot have any gas meter at all on the site in order for it to be an all-electric project. So I'll go ahead and show you the next slide. So the process, if you've got a project that you'd like to get enrolled into CETA, we have really streamlined it and made it a very easy process. Simple 5 steps. The first step is enrollment. We have a website, a portal, californiaeda.com, that you can go right onto. It asks for about 12 or so pieces of information: your name, the project name, the location, whether it's new construction or renovation. It does have information for your team, architecture firm, engineering firm, but you don't need to have all the information initially. As much information as you can provide is great, but it'll actually get it enrolled into the program and we can get started. Then there are 2 virtual meetings. The first one is a preliminary meeting. Once the project is enrolled into CETA, the following week on Monday, we actually assign it to a Willdan project manager. And I didn't really explain, but Willdan is, we are the implementer for the CETA program. The program, again, works with the 4 investor-owned utilities, but we're the implementer. So you would be assigned to a Willdan project manager, as well as a Willdan energy modeler that will work specifically with you on your project. That first preliminary meeting takes about 60 minutes, pardon me. And again, that just kind of gets everything going in terms of the project. In between the first and the second virtual meeting, which is the final analysis meeting, is about a 4-week time span that allows us to do that whole building energy modeling. During that final analysis meeting, that's about 90 minutes of virtual meeting time. You'll have yourself, anybody you'd like to be on it with your team. You'll have your Willdan project manager, pardon me, your Willdan energy modeler, and they will go over and present to you what we call 3 energy bundles. You might consider it, say, a good, better, and best option. And they also allow time on that call that they can make real-time changes on the fly to those energy models right as you're on the call. So they allow a little bit more time for that. Again, you're not obligated to select any of the energy bundles. There's no risk at all to participate in the program. But let's say, for discussion's sake, you opt for the 3rd bundle. Let's say you want to go maybe all electric. The project is built. Once it is built, we do need to send out one of our measurement and verification folks to verify that those energy efficiency measures were actually implemented in the construction of the building. And then the 5th step is the incentives are paid. It's a one-time check that's issued. But in addition to that, depending upon the energy bundle that you select, you'll continue to see that energy savings year after year, which theoretically you could reinvest into that property, into new properties. And so it's just a really great program. And you can kind of go through these, Ruby Rose, because they're just a little bit more information on those. And then this is something that's really important. So you'll notice here on the yellow-orange box here on the side, you'll see the mixed fuel incentive rates, and then you'll see the all-electric incentive rates. Significantly higher for the all-electric. Again, we're really trying to promote that all-electric build. And so I just kind of wanted to point that out. In addition to those rates, it's not on the slide, but I just wanted to mention briefly that we do have also an additional 40% kicker for 100% subsidized affordable housing projects. And we can also layer with the build program, which Melinda mentioned earlier. So there's really some great ways to get lots of extra incentives if you've got those types of projects. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that CETA actually took over for a former program called Savings by Design. And these are just some differences between the 2 programs. So the most notable for me is the higher incentive cap. So with the old Savings by Design program, we had $150,000 per project cap. And now we have up to $1 million per project with CETA. We use the standard practice baseline with CETA, and with Savings by Design, CEC, California Energy Commission Title 24. We offer the complementary energy modeling throughout all the different utilities, and before it varied by utility, some didn't offer that. And then our incentives are based now on the net life cycle savings over the useful life of the measure, whereas before they were just based on that first year of savings. So you really get a better picture of true energy savings. So again, that's just in a nutshell, a little bit of information about CETA. If you have any questions, any projects you'd like to ask about, I am local and would be happy to help with any questions that you have or any projects that you may have. So thank you for your time. Appreciate you inviting me here, Ruby Rose, and also to the chamber.
All right. Thank you, Tina, for that. And thank you to all our presenters for the information provided. I know we are now over time, but just wanted to quickly ask if anybody had any questions, since we do have our presenters here who could answer any of them at this time.
So, hi, Ruby, it's Olivia. I'm going through the information and we have a lot of the links attached. So I will download copy of the chat so we could address, so we could forward those links. And I'm going through the chat. Everyone has great comments, great information. I know, I'm not a builder, but I learned a little bit of everything, and there's huge incentives out there for, to go electric. And we know that's the wave of the future. And this information is so important, not only to construction builders, but as homeowners, we need to know how we could upgrade our homes. What incentives out there for us, as everyday folks and families, where you're eventually going to have to convert to electric.
Yeah, so just to be clear on that, the requirements are for new construction to be pursuing the
Okay.
all electric pathway. It is not required by code, but under the new energy code that's coming in and to be implemented on January 1st of 2023, all new construction low-rise projects are going to be required to be electric ready. Because obviously if that's the direction that we're moving as a state, then the retrofit costs could be very costly, especially for slab on grade homes, where you would have to break slab and concrete in order to run additional conduit and whatnot. But they really want to see people living in healthier spaces, and especially now, post pandemic and being exposed to health concerns more than ever. It is really important that we have good air quality within our homes where we're raising our children. And me as a mom with 3 little ones, that's something that's really important for me as well. So I am excited to see all of these programs coming out to be able to support that. And support our customers and our stakeholders in this space as we do make the transition as a state. And also, I just wanted to note, for those who are in the construction space as builders and developers, if you do run into any issues, my role is to support all of our customers doing new construction. So my contact information is there. If you ever need anything, whatever it is on the program side, on the planning side, I'm happy to help and utilize me as a resource for that space.
Well,
And
and
yeah, I
Mr.
think
Chairman, do you have any closing comments? Because I know that's your area of expertise.
Are you talking to me, Olivia?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
No, I would just like to say thank you so much to all the presenters. I myself learned a lot, and I want to hear more about the CETA program to see if it's, are you guys representing the state of California, or you just have a certain area, Tina?
Yeah, it's statewide. It
Okay.
is actually statewide. It just has to be within those for investor-owned utility territory. So SCE, PG&E, SoCal Gas, and SDG&E. So yeah, statewide.
Oh, caught me out. IID is the one we're working with.
Well, ironically, I found out this morning they actually have a program as well. So I'll forward that to you.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you so much. I know we're a couple minutes over. I want to thank all the 23 that stayed on. I mean, it must have been very, very informative. Nobody clicked out.
Yeah. And then just lastly, this is a 3-part series. So part 2 is next Wednesday, December 7th at 9 a.m. And that is also new construction for single family and ADUs. The topics include service request and also incentive programs. And on Wednesday, December 14th, which is the last of the series, same time, 9 a.m. And topics will include cannabis, energy code, that's effective January 1st, new services, and charge ready medium duty incentives. So another side note, we have a holiday party coming up. So if you are a member, you can purchase a ticket to our Fiesta Navidad, which is December 10th. If you need more information, you can contact me at olivia@lelcc.org. We want to thank you for spending your morning with us. Hope you took a lot of nuggets. There's a lot of money out there for you. So please be safe and have a fantastic week. Thank you.